Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Chad Himes here with my friend Bob Stewart. Bob, how are you today?
Hey, Chad, I'm good. You know, it's when you're real estate is obviously this massive industry. There's a couple million people that participate in it in some way, and I've been in the industry for 22 years. And there's these people, Linda. We don't know each other. We've never met. We're going to bring Linda on here in a minute. There's these people that you hear of them, you know who they are. And at some point, generally, because the industry is not actually that big, you run into these people over the years. And I'm super excited to run into this one today. She's been a name that I've heard a million times. I said it to you today, Chad. I'm like, yeah, Linda, but so I'm excited. Let's do this. We have a really bright mind here with us today that's done an amazing job, I think, in her career. We're going to talk about this of zeroing in on our third kind of focus of this season, right, Chad, which is make more money. And Linda does it in a passive way. I think a lot of what we're going to talk about are some of the passive ways that she's creating income. So I'm excited. Let's do this, buddy. Let's do it.
Bob, you're absolutely right. It's like 6 degrees of separation in the real estate industry because everybody knows somebody who then you're like, oh, I'm like, sure, I know Linda McKissack. Absolutely, I know Linda McKissack, who's our guest today. And let me tell you, Bob, before I even let her on here to talk, I'm going to get the minute to brag on her. Right. And I'm going to share a Linda McKissack story because you're right. She's going to definitely talk to us about make more money. But Bob, what's 1 and 2 for season 3? What are our other focuses?
Make a difference and make an impact.
Yeah. And this woman made a difference and made an impact in my personal life. And this is my opportunity to really let her know how much this meant and share this story with our audience. So years and years ago, I don't know how many, I'd have to actually sit down and think about it. It's got to be at least 8-9 years ago now or whatever. I was with my friend Liz Landry. We were teaching, I think it was Cincinnati. And that next morning, Linda and Liz and I all had really early flights. So we ended up all riding together. Linda had a car and she took us over to the airport and we all got to the airport. And Liz went off her way because I don't know, she flies some other airline. And Linda and I were both flying down towards Dallas, mainly because I needed it for a layover. And well, that's where she is down in the Texas area. And she must be one of those, 20 million mile flyers, so they're gold forever. And it was early in the morning and Linda went up to the lady at the counter and she said, hey, I'm sitting in, first class, whatever the seat was. She goes, is there anybody beside me? And is there any chance you can upgrade my friend for me? And she got me bumped up to first class to sit with her. Now, Bob, that would be enough of making a difference and making an impact, just that first class flight. But let me tell you, for the next 4 hours, I was in a room, and you're going to see how this even connects to you, Bob. I was basically in a seat beside Linda McKissack with nothing else to focus on except the incredibly tough questions she was asking me. And at that moment, she asked tons of questions. But one of the questions she asked was, what do you think it would be like if we could get one of these authors of one of these books to do some sort of private mastermind event? Now, Bob, the book happened to be Engaged Leadership. Now, you might recognize the title, Bob, because the author of Engaged Leadership happens to be Clint Swindoll.
Yeah.
And Linda challenged me at that time. She said, Chad, I challenge you. Reach out, connect with this guy, and let's put on a private mastermind that, Linda, you might have to help me. I think there were maybe 10 of us, 12 of us that Clint hosted in a private event.
There was definitely less than 20. And I think we tried it the first year and it didn't make. And so the second time I was so panicked that it wouldn't make that I went out and hogged all the seats, most of them anyway. You and Cheryl and somebody else from your region got maybe 3 or 4 seats, and I filled the rest because I wanted this to happen so bad.
Yeah. And Bob, I'll tell you, that changed my life because not only did that force me to now get into a relationship with Clint, who I've become friends with, who now has his own podcast, Tell Me Something Good, as part of the Win, Make, Give network. It also strengthened the relationship I had with such a big thinker like Linda McKissack. So this is a woman that has made a difference and made an impact in my own personal world. Linda, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Honestly, that warms my heart. That's the greatest compliment. Somebody could sit and read the whole list of crap that Jimmy and I have accomplished over the years. But that warms my heart more than anything, because at the end of the journey, I think we're all going to feel the best by the difference we made and the lives we changed, right? And I think if you do it correctly, the money just shows up. You bring value to the world. You don't have to worry about where it's going to come from or how much. You just give. Because like my friend Joe Polish says, life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. But honestly, that's the greatest compliment anybody can give me. And I truly believe we were destined to be there and for it to all work out that way. And so I'm truly happy because now I have you in my life and I didn't have that before. So thank you, Chad.
Well, thank you, Linda. Now, and she's gone on, Bob, and now she took it to a step farther. She went Navy SEAL training. She didn't bring me on that one. I was busy at that, whatever it was. There's other things I'm bitter about. Yet that's besides the point. Now,
Chad, real quick, when you say that, it conjures up an image for me of like the butterfly effect.
Yes.
And like, I feel like, look, I'm super excited to have Linda here and like get inside her head a little bit today over the next little bit. But I feel like that 4 hours was just like constant butterfly effect, right? I'll bet a lot of those questions really dug deep and made you really think. And there are things that you turned around and maybe did different next time or started to focus on in your life. But that butterfly effect of sitting next to Linda for 4 hours on an airplane, like, I mean, you gave us one specific story. I bet you could probably dig up 4 or 5 more out of that conversation that made an impact or a ripple in your life.
Absolutely. Yet I want the audience to realize, as you're saying, that butterfly effect. Clint Swindoll has been on our podcast. Clint has now become friends with you and Ben. Clint is now running his own podcast under the Win, Make, Give umbrella. And the whole reason I got into a relationship with Clint was that story right there. Now, Linda, I know you. I've known you for years. I knew you even before that, of course. Bob knows the name, Linda McKissack, as he said. And some of our audience out there might shockingly be saying, yeah, I don't even know the name. So I don't read bios because I don't want to just read that list of all the things you and Jimmy did. Tell the audience, though, who is Linda McKissack?
That's a great question. You know what? I'll just start by telling you my purpose statement. My purpose, and I think everyone should spend some time trying to figure out why they're here. And it takes a lot to do that. And I think it's listening to the moments in your life that speak to your soul. And so when you say, who am I? I'm a person that truly loves and feels like I'm on my purpose when I'm helping successful but overworked entrepreneurs understand the power of leverage and passive income so that they get freedom and margin for all the things that are important to them. And we're all unique. And the reasons we want freedom and margin and freedoms from all things like freedom, honestly, freedom to me is freedom to have the great relationships that you create along the way in the journey when you're on the journey. Freedom of my time and freedom of my money, right? They just all lead to great things. And I think the very first time my soul spoke to me and told me that freedom was going to be important to me, I was probably too young to understand. I had just graduated from high school. No one in my family went to college, so college didn't even enter my mind. And I'd always had like 2 and 3, like Dairy Queen jobs or Baskin Robbins or Jack in the Box, those kind of jobs my whole high school career. But I'd never had like a real job. And so someone that I had worked with, her husband worked at General Telephone and she got me a job early on. And I would go to work at 8 and get off at 5. Now, I had never gone at 8 and gotten off at 5. I'd always done, the 3 to 4, 3 to 10 shift or, and that felt flexible to me. I didn't feel pinned in with that. But the minute I got that job where they made me come in at 8, they made me get off at 5, they made me take an hour lunch, and they gave me 2 15-minute breaks, my soul started screaming. And so I always like to laugh and say, so I quit that darn job and I got into real estate where you go in way before 8 and you get off way after 5. But I'm a much happier person because I feel like I have freedom to work as hard as I want to make as much as I want to, all of those things. And so I think throughout our journey, those little moments of when you feel like, oh my gosh, I could do this all day long and for the next 25 years, never get tired of it. And I don't really even check to see how much money's coming in. That's when you're doing what your life's purpose is. And it's taken me years and a little bit of time with Michael Hyatt and his little group to help me kind of hone in on this. But I just know that when I do it and the more I do it, the happier I am and the more time flies and the more money that shows up. Because I think, again, if you bring value to the world, money won't be your issue. It will come there in abundance if you're smart about it.
Sure. And we're going to get to money. Before we get to money, because once I think we get started on money, we're not going to stop. I think that purpose statement, that's really interesting, right? It's not a mission statement we keep hearing from people. Linda, let's make an impact on our audience right now. they all need a purpose statement. Help them create a purpose statement. What are some of the steps they could maybe take to figure out what their purpose statement is?
Well, I think one, you start to have to listen to what your energy does. If something sucks my energy, it's probably not in my purpose. It's not my unique ability. I don't have the gift zone to do it, but yet it could be in someone else's gift zone and they could literally give them the most energy in the world from doing it. So paying attention to those moments when I don't pay attention to what time it is of the day. Have I eaten anything? I haven't even had lunch today, and I normally, because I'm on this real special rigid thing right now, I'm supposed to be eating 3 meals a day, which is hard for me because I like to fast in the morning. But today I hadn't even thought about food because I started out from the morning on a couple of phone calls helping entrepreneurs with some things they needed help with. And then I immediately came to a class in my Denton office that I own and taught on database management and those kind of things. And um, then I did 2 interviews on podcasts that I am actually the host and co-host of. And now I'm doing this. And so what are those things? Pay attention to what is that, the gifts that you can help people with. Who do you want to be a hero to? Because you got to enjoy the people that you're working with and you're helping. So I have a little cheat sheet that helps though. And you start out with this: I help blank. So that would be, who do you like to be a hero to? Who gives you energy? And you don't want to do it with people that suck your energy because you're not going to want to do that, right? So who gives you energy? Who do you love helping and serving? I help blank. And in my case, it's understand, do, or have. So any of those, X blank, so they can blank get whatever it is they want to get. You know what I mean? So just kind of think through that little process, and that helped me a whole lot. It also helps if you start. There's a great book called Unique Ability by Shannon Waller. She was on my podcast of Everything Life in Real Estate, and she did a beautiful job of explaining, people's uniqueness. And the sooner you can find your unique ability, and everybody has it, but nobody thinks they do. And the reason we don't think we do is because it's so easy for us. We think it's easy for everybody, right? And so that's a great book to read that would help also in that process. Anytime you can go to a class where you have to spend time thinking, what would you want your eulogy to say? But I try to just pay attention to my energy because my energy doesn't lie. My energy either says, hallelujah, Linda, you're having a great time and you could do this all day long and for the next 25 years. Or you think, oh my God, can I get out of this? I do not want to do this for 5 more seconds, So I think that those are my main ways that I do it for myself.
Linda, can I ask you a question about your purpose statement? Because it's on your website, and when you said it, I heard a word in there that I maybe want to. I don't know that I need margin.
Yeah,
we talk a lot about freedom, and I think a lot of people, that means different things to different people, right? But for us, it's the freedom to do what we want, with who we want, when we want, right? Can you talk for a second about the idea of margin? Like, what does that mean, and how does that kind of show up in your purpose statement? I'm fascinated by that word.
Well, you have to find the space to do what it is you love. And if you leave your life on default, I love a quote that I've heard, and I think it's from maybe Quantum Leap course, but I just taught that in Tacoma, by the way, too, up in close to where you guys are, I guess.
That's right.
But anyway, if you don't design your life, someone or something else will. And I think that's what margin means. Margin means I'm going to find the space to do what I love and spend the time doing what's important to me and what would fulfill me. Bonnie Ware wrote a book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And one of the things that's so powerful in there is so many of those people on their deathbed say, I wish I had lived a life true to myself, not true to someone else. And I think if you just coast through life and you let the default key kick in, there is no margin for those important things. It gets squeezed out with everybody else's agenda and everybody else's, plan, right? And so to me, margin means the space for what I need. And the way you create space is through leveraging things, leveraging your time, leveraging your money, leveraging your relationships. Those all make a bigger margin for what I want. Just like wanting to meet Clint Swindoll and to do the thing with Chad, we could leverage that and figure out how to get that to happen, right? But we had to be willing to find the leverage that would give us the margin and the space to do that.
Love it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. That makes a ton of sense.
So here we are. We're 15 minutes into, a 30-ish minute podcast or so, and we knew that the thing we were going to talk about with Linda was money. And we haven't even talked about it, Linda. So let's talk about make more money with our audience. I'm going to let you go with it right there. I mean, you wrote a book called Hold. You have passive income residual streams. You own multiple businesses, of course. Help our audience if you were just taking a typical entrepreneur that's out there. Not that any of our audience members are typical. They're way better than that, of course. Yet, give me a tip. What would be tip number one you would give to someone who says, I want to make more money?
Yeah. Well, I think you have to figure out what is your unique ability and what kind of money do you want to make? Because cash flow is one thing, but it ends the day you do. I mean, the day you don't do it anymore, right? Or would it be better of your time and energy spent on focusing on creating wealth and passive income so that you do again get leverage of your time? So when you want more money, you have to decide, which more money do I need? Do I need more cash flow? Or do I need more wealth? And if I need more wealth, but I don't have enough cash flow to do it, what it would be to take to get into real estate, could I get a partner who has the money? How could I convince who has the money to help me do it if I can? Because, when Jimmy and I first started investing in real estate, we were $600,000 in debt from a nightclub that he owned that we had to sell during the economic crash of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas during the late 80s, early 90s. And we immediately woke up the next day and we were $600,000 in debt. And so when you're in that much pain, I always say the worst thing that ever happens to you will typically wind up being the best thing if you give it long enough and you look for what lessons you can learn from that. And so what we learned from that is, let's don't be that person next time a crash happens. And who are the people that they actually got richer and they did better during this crash, or at least they didn't lose everything like us. And so because of that, you started reading books and finding people you could talk to. And Robert Kiyosaki's books were massively helpful during that time. And his second book, Cash Flow Quadrant, changed our life and our actions and everything, because we realized our problem was our money was coming in from being an employee or self-employed. It wasn't an employee. Both of us were actually self-employed. But those are the 95% of the world, the 5% who come through those kind of situations even better, or at least not scathed. Those people make money differently through businesses, real estate, or stocks. And so we knew that was a very clear, simple idea. And then now we just needed to figure out the steps to do that. And because we were $600,000 in debt and we couldn't go to the bank, get a loan, I went and found a partner, and that partner partnered with us on the first 3 deals. And that's what got us started.
Linda, what did you bring to that partnership? Obviously, they had money. Were you bringing like the knowledge? Were you bringing the sweat equity? Was it those two things mainly?
And I had the trust because he was a builder that I had been selling his houses for, and I trusted him and he trusted me. And I just went to him and said, hey, I think we can make, on the first house we flipped it. The rest of them, since we wrote the book Hold, we've held, we do flip some, but we mostly hold. And I just said to him, I said, Lou, I found a great property. I think you and I can make $15,000 on. I'll throw in my commission to get it if that helps, and we'll pay you, a fee for doing the remodeling, and then we'll split the profits. And so we did that on the first one. And by the time we got ready to sell that one, we'd found a second one. And then we found a third one, and he did all 3 with us. And so, I was bringing the knowledge. You have to bring something. You have to be valid. You have to bring something to the table. And so I was bringing the validity of understanding the market good enough to know that we could make 15 grand on that house. And back then that was a lot, of money. Now, you make a lot, you could possibly make a lot more on flips. But and there was trust there. And I think that's important. And I think he knew that I would lay awake at night worrying more about his money than I would my own. And so I think that's super important, because I would rather die than use somebody else's money, probably, other than the banks. I don't mind using theirs. But because I would lay awake at night and worry more about losing their money than I would my own money.
Interesting. So, Linda, you did flips. Now, I think flips would hit that first part of what you were talking about, which is going to be, do I need cash flow?
Right.
Whereas now you wrote a book called Hold with some
Yep.
others. You came together and you talked about that, where that's going to fill that wealth bucket. Talk to us about, I mean, everybody wants to flip because HGTV makes it look so easy, right? Talk to us though about the concept of Hold and why you then saw a different light and what everybody could learn from that.
Well, because you want to work in life, one, because you love what you do, and because you want to, not because you have to. When you have to, everything changes. So we always say, look, what is your financial freedom number? What's that number that you could sustain either the lifestyle you have or the lifestyle you want if you don't like the one you have, right? And get that number first. And it's okay to flip along the way as long as you're meeting your goals of what your whole number is. And we started ours, Jimmy's 9 years older than me. So we started ours with the in mind that when he was 60, we wanted to have you about 240, 250,000 coming in passively. And so we used his age and we built a plan around buying 20 properties and having them free and clear that someone else had paid off for us. And when they were free and clear, they would give us that amount of money per year. And then we would work only because we wanted to, not because we had to, right? And so we gave ourselves 5 years to buy those 20 properties, and we were just off and running. And I always say the only thing a good plan does is it gets you moving and taking the first step. After that, we've never, we've had over, 100 and something houses that we've held before. We're down to about 80 right now of single family and about 34 vacation rentals. And we have another 4 lots to build. So we'll wind up about 38, 40 vacation rentals before this part's done. So you can, you can flip along the way, especially if you need a little bit of money on the front end, which we did. But the true gift is that passive money where somebody else has paid that asset off, and you can live freely and do what you want to do because that money's coming in no matter whether you get out of bed or you don't.
I love that. And Bob, I'm never going to Airbnb again. I'm just reaching out to Linda. I mean, apparently she's got something probably in almost every state that I could go stay
No,
at.
you have to be going to Branson, Missouri for most of them, and then we do have a ranch in Texas that my husband complains that our ranch we can never now get into because people love it as a vacation rental. So you in Texas and the rest in Missouri.
All right, we'll keep that in mind. All right, so making money, right? We want to make more money. You've told us the first thing we have to do is figure out, do we want cash flow or do we want to build wealth? Okay, here at Win, Make, Give, I mean, heck, we have the wealth series where we take everybody through it. And folks, we're about to launch the updated wealth series. So make sure you're going to winmakegive.com/wealth to get registered for it. Let's focus on the wealth side, Linda. Give us a tip, 2, 3, that everybody and anybody can do to start building wealth.
Okay. First thing is start with what your freedom number is. Get a number in mind. And by the way, don't be afraid that what if I want to change the number? You can change the number. The number just gets you started. So come up with a number. And the good way to do that is to take all of your life, what it takes to fund your lifestyle, and then take a little bit of margin for what we call life's unexpecteds. And life's unexpecteds are things that have happened to us, where we had a son-in-law that got cancer at 29 and, unforeseen, going to happen. And for the 10 and a half months that he lived, being away from him and our daughter and our granddaughter just didn't feel good. So they were 6 hours south of us. It gave us the opportunity to go 6 hours south and spend most of the time there in the home of his family to try to help with the situation. And that's an unexpected. And so how much would you have to have coming in passively to do that and not have to worry about your job? And then the second thing is my husband had an elderly relative that in their 70s was about to lose their home. Good people, just never always saw what we did as we were just lucky. They didn't ever see the overalls we had on to do it. But we were able to buy their house and give them a life estate. I mean, those are life's unexpecteds. And we did a survey in Hold that said if you followed a 100 people for 40 years of their career, one would be wealthy, 4 would be financially secure, 36 would be working because they had to, not because they wanted to. A certain number would be dead. I don't remember how the number added up. And then 54 is going to be broke and dependent on their family and friends. And I always say some of those people this is the default key if you do nothing, right? And so some of those people are going to be your great family and your great friends. And so that's where I say give yourself a buffer for some life's unexpecteds. because there is no such thing as too much money, because there's always great needs out there. And those will show up to you when you have the money to give to them, right? And so I would say start with your freedom number, and then what's the next natural, easiest door for you to walk through? I like when complicated things get simple. If it's just real estate, if it's businesses making you money, real estate making you money, or assets, stocks. We suck at stocks, and I feel out of control with stocks because, number one, I don't know enough about them to know whether we're doing a good thing or not. Well, let's just put it this way. We sold Facebook before we should have. So don't take any stock advice from us. But the next natural, easier door I thought for us to walk through, we'd just been burned from owning his nightclubs. So that didn't even appeal to me. I did eventually learn to treat my real estate business like a business, and eventually have someone run it for me for 20 years and then sell it for 1.1 million. So that actually became an asset. But we thought the first natural, easiest door might be to walk through is investing. So figure out which is your first easy, most natural, easy door to walk through, and just dive into that until you get that mastered. And then what starts to happen, the funny thing about opportunity is when you take advantage of it and you're the person that's ready, you'll start to see more than you never saw before. Like we've had the opportunity to invest in 2 banks. Well, I didn't know anything about investing in banks, but because we had done the step before that and become who we became, the door opened for them to say, "Hey, we're going to do a new bank. Do you want to buy some stock?" And we knew the people and we knew the bank, and so you know what I mean. But here's the thing: when you're standing somewhere on the ground and you're not even trying to get in the game of opportunities, you feel like there's none. But when you're in it, the next natural door will start to peep up and show itself to you. And then you just have to have the courage to walk through it.
Wow. Sounds like there should be some math equation in there for that freedom number, Bob. I'm going to leave that to you as the math guy, right? Expenses plus 20%
Yes.
equal something, so we're figuring all that out. All right.
Yeah.
So we're building wealth. I hit my freedom. Is there a done point? Like, do I ever say, hey, I'm generating that $200,000 of passive income every year, so I'm done?
Well, there may be for some people. Everybody, I can't decide this for anyone else, but there is 2 kinds of entrepreneurs, Chad. There's one that when they hit a certain ceiling and they break through it, they look up and they go, wow, I can't believe I accomplished that. What else could I accomplish? And then they just go after achieving the next thing, right? And then they figure out how their money they could be good stewards of their money and do it. And then there's this entrepreneur that they're driving the car they never thought they'd drive. They're living in the house they never thought they'd live in. They're at the country club they never thought they'd be at. They're living the life that they never really imagined. And so it's more of a lifestyle entrepreneur. No right or wrong either way. It's just, who are you? And they get to a certain level and they start looking outside for like community involvement, maybe, golfing or just other things. And no right or wrong. It's just who they are. And that's right for them. But then there's some entrepreneurs that you're like, man, honestly, I'm enjoying who I'm becoming on the journey. I want to see who else I can become and what else I can do. And then how do I help other people do it too? And so you've got to decide who you are. I don't think there's a right answer for anybody. It's just, what's the right answer for you? Which entrepreneur are you, and which one's going to make you feel at the end of your life you don't have any regrets?
Linda, can I ask you a question about, so you've got as I look at your website, you have another stream of income, and it's a byproduct of your work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your listing masterclass that I see on your deal there. And I don't know if you'd technically call that cash flow, or if that would be like, technically I think it's passive income, right? This is like work that you were doing in your career. You said, you know what, other people might find value in this. Let me package it up, a byproduct of, you doing listing appointments and finding sellers every day and got really good at it. Talk for a second about that byproduct of your work becoming kind of a potentially passive source of income for you.
Yeah. We actually have, in that arena of intellectual property, we actually have 3. We have one that we teach people how to build wealth in this particular opportunity that we have inside of our company that's exclusive just to our company. We've created an online course. We meet with those people once a month because we enjoy doing it. Remember about that, what gives you energy? So that's a little less passive. Now, by the way, Don't get me wrong. In the middle of the night, people could be buying the online course, but with the online course, they get a monthly call. And we love doing that and helping them move forward and accomplish more with that course. Now, on the Listing Agent Masterclass, right now, it's just a kind of an evergreen thing. People can get on and purchase it. But eventually, I might do a monthly call with that because those people are still in the arena of who gives me energy and who I want to be a hero to. So, and again, that's a perfect example of just the next natural door that if you learn to watch for it is going to try to open for you, and that can open for you. So yeah, I mean, there's so many ways. My husband and I are actually we're about to launch it. We've got some back episodes already done called Everything Life and Financial Freedom. And our goal in that podcast is to teach people that there's many, many ways to create financial freedom. Many ways. There's not just one way, and you got to find what way fits you. And we say in our podcast, we weren't born Bill Gates or Paul Allen or Steve Jobs or any of those people, but that doesn't mean we can't come from a very average life to have an extraordinary life. Which, by the way, Chad, if you ride with me now, you need to land in a city where I'm at, and you can ride on our jet. So
Okay, I'm on.
The travel has upgraded again because freedom and being where I want to be when I want to be there is important to me. It's super important to me, right? So those kind of things are like little doors that start to peek, pop open a little bit if you're paying attention. And that's why I say there's just an unlimited amount of opportunity, but you've got to get in the game and you got to get started. And your place may start differently than mine, and that's fantastic. But that's your thing and that's your opportunity. And some of them could overlap. You could, read our book Hold, and you could buy investment properties. I think everybody should probably do that to some degree because I think it's one of the simpler ways to build wealth. Doesn't take rocket scientists, as you can tell from us doing it, that to do it. And so, but I don't, everybody's got to find what is that door that's trying to open for them.
I love it. Linda, I don't know that I'm going to take you on that opportunity because I think once I flew private, I would never be able to go back. It could be a dangerous offer you're making there. Bob, I hope you were taking some great notes because Linda must have dropped 15 different books that everybody should have on their bookcase through this. Linda, I'm going to be emailing you later and saying, I need that list. Right. Because
I wrote down Cash Flow Quadrant. That's one of Ben's favorite books, right? And he's talked about that extensively when we used to do the live Win Mate Gives. We've probably done a podcast episode on Cash Flow Quadrants. Yes. Like that concept has driven Ben. It's fascinating to me, Linda. I don't know how well you know Ben or how much, obviously there's some overlap with you guys, but like your philosophies and the things that you guys really lean into are so similar. And so it's fascinating for me to see like these people that, there's some maybe a little intersection. You guys obviously know each other, but that you guys like just fundamentally have very similar philosophies about how to build wealth makes up, the average guy like me go, there's probably something to this. Right?
Well, we've probably read the same books. We've been in front of the same mentors and coaches.
Yeah.
And then you just, when you're ready, you get it, you get the message, right? And you take action on it. And then you start to have your own stories and experiences from taking action that you can now share with others and help other people that are on the journey. So yeah, I think, I think I've met Ben in an airport and I might've moderated a panel he's been on or something.
I swear though, you got like, if you guys sat down and had a wealth discussion, you guys would be like talking to mirrors.
He might be my brother from another mother. Who knows? There's some pretty dysfunction in my family, and I've heard there's a little bit in his. So who knows? We could have the same father or mother, or who knows?
There you go.
Okay, so folks, we want you to understand there are many ways to do it, right? And that's we keep bringing it, but there are also some common threads, as Bob's pointing out, that we see again and again and again that are showing up when it comes to building wealth. And it's having that number, having that goal that you're shooting for. It's finding passive ways because, like Linda mentioned, if you're doing it cash flow, that's great. I hope you're out there and I hope everybody's making $1 million a year cash flow. Problem is, like Linda said, once you stop showing up, that $1 million stops coming in, right? So where's the wealth that you're building along the way to make sure that you can take advantage of it? Folks, I'm going to give her the plug because she probably won't herself, even though I'm going to ask her to. It's lindamckisack.com. Yep. And if you can't spell it, it's MC, right? We all got the Mick part. It's Kissack. Kissack, so that you can go and you can find Linda's website. You could learn more about her. You could learn more about these courses. And Linda, you've got a podcast that's already out there and another one coming with you and Jimmy.
Everything Life in Real Estate was the name of the podcast. I wrote that one down because I'm going to go listen to that on my drive home from Bellingham tonight.
You might hear an amazing guest on a previous episode of that, Bob.
If you hit the right episode, there might have been a cool guest on there named Chad.
I might dial in. That might be my listener on the way home tonight.
There you go. What's the one with you and Jimmy that's at this point of us talking at least coming soon? Folks, everybody will be watching for it, and that is?
Everything Life and Financial Freedom.
Okay. Everything Life and Financial Freedom. And folks,
people created financial freedom for themselves.
Okay. And folks, you're hearing Linda and you can hear the energy of Linda here. Believe me, you'll have just as great a time when you put Jimmy in the room. The two of them are a wonderful combination. My wife, Nita, says hello. I was supposed to say hello to you today from Nita. From our lovely
Kevin Weber. He saw your name on my calendar. He's a colleague of mine. He texted me. He's like, "Are you meeting with Linda? Like, can I jump in the room and say hi?" So a shout out from our friend Kevin Weber as well. He's a big fan.
Kevin, I haven't seen you in a while. Miss ya.
There you go. Love it. All right, Linda, give everybody one last thought. Let's put an exclamation point on the end of this episode before I wrap it up. Give everybody one last thought that you want to make sure they all hear today.
Can I give you my secret formula for building anything?
Wait, hold on. Okay, got my pen, go.
Okay, so I think this is from algebra. I didn't do very good in math, but I think would equate to an algebra problem. So it's capital R plus capital V plus another capital V, draw a line under those and put a capital T at the bottom. And I will be releasing a book later this year on this formula, but we use it in everything I've ever built. When Gary Keller sent me to Ohio to build that, I took this formula in my brain. That's how I did it. But I'm
guessing the T is time, right? The T is time.
T is time. The first R, the R is who do you want to be a hero to? Who gives you energy? Who comes to you the most for advice or help? That's the relationship part, because no one succeeds alone. So we got to have. And then it could go on even to who are the mentors you hang out with, it's relationships, right? Everything relationships. The second one is validity. If you don't work on your validity and you don't have validity, no one's going to open the door to a relationship to you, because everybody's valid. Nobody thinks they are. But learning how to figure out what your validity is and how to use it, it's super powerful. And then the other capital V is everybody in the world has a value gap. And Zig Ziglar said it best. The way you get what you want in life is just to help enough other people get what it is they want. The key words in that is what they want, not what I think they should want or what I want or someone I know wants. What do they want? And the only way you're going to know that is be valid enough to start the relationship, have great conversation starters to start a relationship, and learn to ask great questions around what's their value gaps and how can you help them. And then drop things into those value gaps, and you create this amazing thing called reciprocity or beholdenness. And Robert Cialdini wrote a great book called Persuasion, and he talks all about reciprocity if you want to learn more about it. But it's very powerful. And when I give to someone, they're going to want to give something back. And what I'm going to want them to give back to me is their time, that I can get them into a situation where they can self-discover that doing business with me or joining my team or me getting to recruit them or all the things that I do, when they self-discover, that's when they'll do business with me or they'll join me. I can't make a person do anything they don't want to do, and I would never want to, but I can learn how to create the reciprocity and the beholdenness, ask them to take a big step where they come into my world and they experientially can experience what it's like. And then from that point, let's hope that they discover that I'm the person they should do business with or they should join or whatever. I
love that at the end you told it, because the story, I think, of that first home builder that you went to and you partnered with, it had all the elements of this. There was a relationship. There was validity instilled in that relationship, right? You filled that value gap. You brought him the deal and all the expertise. Like, to me, that story encapsulates your formula here. Am I right there?
Yeah. And the bottom one is time. Some things you're working on are going to take a longer period of time, and some are going to take a shorter. You don't get to decide the time the other person does. And that's where you have to have patience and persistence. And I'll tell you a little secret that I just figured out. If you have a personal issue you're struggling through, run that V plus R backwards and say, what's my value gap? What's the validity I need that I don't have? So when Jimmy and I were $600,000 in debt, the validity we had was the knowledge of how not to be that person in debt, right? And the validity that I needed to go get the relationship, which was with Lou Kraft, so that he could help us start to get out of that situation. So you could, if you have a personal issue, you could actually work that formula and work it right backwards and solve your problem. And then you've got to be realistic about how long. Like, so let's say somebody wants to build wealth. Okay, my value gap is I don't have any wealth. Okay, now what validity do I need to learn to be able to build that wealth? And then what relationships will I need along the way to do that? And then how long, time-wise, is it realistic going to take? Because building wealth is not a get-rich-quick thing. It's a long game.
I love it.
I feel like we could spend the whole episode on this formula right here. Like maybe we should have Linda back at some point.
I think we might when the book comes. R plus V over T. Now, Linda, that's a crappy name of a book, though.
You know what?
So what's the book going to be called?
Well, I don't know yet, Chad. I'll get you to work on that because you're creative. But here's the thing: it is in the book. I have a List More, Sell More book that's a lead book just to our listing force, and in there I call it the secret formula that no one tells you about. So I don't know what it's going to be, and I don't think I worry about the name of a book first. I just worry about getting the book out, and then the name will kind of come to you along the way, or somebody with better creative brain than me will help me come to that name.
All right. Well, Linda, you're going to call it the Success Equation. There you go. There's your book title. We can refer to it as that for now, and I'll just get a signed copy as a thank you when you name it that. How about that?
Right. And a plane ride, Chad.
And a plane ride. We'll go anywhere. You tell me where to be, and I will be waiting at the gate. All right, folks. Check out lindamckisack.com to learn more about her. Check out the podcast that she's dropped for us. Watch for the book. You can be sure that we will promote it when it comes out. Maybe we'll have Linda back to talk in detail on R plus V over T. Linda, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for making the time to join us today. It is always a pleasure to get to spend time with you. Bob, it was good seeing you again today.
It was an honor. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you. And folks, remember, share this episode. There's someone that needs to hear it. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss things like the Wealth series coming. Join us in our Facebook group, Win, Make, Give. And until our next episode, do good.